Welcome to our AuthorNet Cybersecurity video. This video is about the computer investments that can be made to block a cyber attack. Essential information for any business that's concerned about cyber attacks. This is part of a series of videos that we have prepared to share with business owners in order that the business owners can protect themselves from a cyber attack. The first part of this presentation deals with computer network protection against a cyber attack. Now, computer network protection is very similar to physical protection. There are parallels between the two. With physical protection, a secure key is required for the door locks to enter the building. We want access control inside the building to determine which parts of the building can be entered or not. We want closed circuit TV to monitor the movement of people inside the building or even outside the building. And we want intrusion detection and alarm in the building to know if somebody is trying to break into the building. And we know that we want to monitor all points in the building because it's pointless having great locks on the front door and the back window that's open for the criminal to access. And we have similar problems with computer protection. First of all, we want a secure key to access the network. And this should be using two-factor authentication. A password is not a strong key. However, if we combine a password with a code we get from a mobile device for two-factor authentication, that gives us a much stronger control of access to the network. Secondly, we have access control to determine what resources can be accessed in the network and what cannot be accessed, similar to access control for the building. So we prevent access to the resources that might be at risk. Then, like CCTV monitoring, we want to monitor the data of the network traffic. And so we want to keep a record of what's happening inside our network. And finally, we want network intrusion detection and alerting. We want to know if somebody is trying to access the network who's not authorized to do so. Now, when we look at a network infrastructure upgrade plan, then we realize that there's a lot of weak points in our computer infrastructure. The diagram illustrates all those weak points, and it's surprising that we make it so easy for the criminals to get access to our computers and our data. Now, we have a list on the left, and we can go through this list in the pages that follow. One is antivirus, another one is updating security patches. A firewall is essential. We want a technology called zero trust network access because that gives us protection against password theft, against a phishing attack, and also allows us to monitor the network and set alerts. We'd like a data backup, which has to be off-site so that the criminals don't have access to that information. And finally, move applications to the cloud. Let's go through these one by one. Antivirus is obvious. A lot of smaller businesses have this installed. It's a software that installs on all the computers and the data servers, and it checks for any type of malicious software which might be installed in that computer and blocks it if necessary. So it's a valuable tool. There are many different types of antivirus software, and the cybersecurity specialist will recommend one that works for the business. Now, software is something that must be frequently updated because criminals discover methods of accessing software because it has a weakness. The criminals call this an exploit. Now, when we think about software, we think about the operating systems on our servers, the Windows software on our computer, and the application software, the QuickBooks or whatever we have on our server. But that's only part of the story. Well, obviously, we need to protect those and make sure the upgrades are applied. Microsoft software makes it easy because they have automatic upgrading, which is something we need to select. However, if we have older computers, then Microsoft is not updating those. And so we have to replace older computers where necessary to ensure we have the latest software. Now, when we look at the diagram, we realize there are other weak points in our network. These are devices that have firmware, and firmware also needs updating because it has security patches. And devices like the firewall, the router, switches, wireless access points all have firmware, and all those devices need security patches to prevent access. A lot of those devices are what the criminals look for in order to find a weakness to access the network. We want a firewall between the network and the internet. This is obvious. It's the first line of attack prevention, so that when a criminal is trying to access our network from the internet, the firewall is going to block that access. The zero trust network access is important. Most small businesses don't have this. Most large businesses do. It's an essential element of cybersecurity that smaller businesses are not aware of, but will prevent an attack using a stolen password. More importantly, it can prevent a phishing attack, and also monitor the network traffic to detect for intrusions and alert the supervisor if an intrusion occurs. Offsite data backup, that's essential for a ransomware recovery plan. It must not be accessible online because if a criminal attacks the network and wishes to install ransomware, then the criminal will look for data backups and encrypt those before encrypting the main server. We want to keep a history of data backups. The last few backups may have been corrupted, and so we want to keep maybe a 1 month or 3 month record of backups on that offsite server. One method of protecting our business is to move applications and data to the cloud. Cloud providers spend a lot of money on cybersecurity. They're very, very difficult to attack. And so if we have our software and data in the cloud, then it's almost immune from attack. Now, a lot of software vendors already have cloud versions, or maybe only have cloud versions, for example, Salesforce.com. Companies like Oracle have all their software in cloud versions, and some software like QuickBooks, which a lot of businesses use, has cloud versions as well as software versions. And so by moving our software to the cloud, we'll do a great deal to protect our business against attack. Now, some businesses have developed custom software, and so to move that to the cloud requires effort. And there are companies specialized in migrating software in order to help businesses that have developed custom software. And this type of project is simplified because there are many techniques and tools available on the cloud services, such as virtual machines or VM software, which makes it easy to move custom applications to a cloud. Now, the Zero Trust network access is extremely important for all businesses. Large businesses have this, but small businesses don't. And the Orthonet ZTNA is a product that's designed especially for small businesses. First, let's review what Zero Trust network access means. It means we're never going to trust, we're always going to verify. And so any computer, any user connecting to the network has to be verified or authenticated before it's given access to the network. And we do this to block any unauthorized attempts to access our business data. Now, the identity verification and authentication uses multi-factor authentication. It requires not only a username and password, but also requires a code that we get from a mobile device. And so if a criminal steals a password, the password is not enough to get access to the network. The criminal also needs the mobile device to get the access code, which is the one-time password. Secondly, we give very specific access to users to the network. Like access control to a building, we let users access only those resources that they need and block access to all other resources. We also impose restrictions on the internet. We want to prevent users accessing compromised websites. These are potential attack vectors. By blocking access to most websites on the internet, we also prevent the installation of a phishing Trojan virus. And so we want to allow access only to those websites that the user needs for the work. And finally, we want to have continuous monitoring of network activity, identify potential threats, and alert the administrator if we notice any attempt to access the network. So Orthonet Cybersecurity is a product which is installed in the network. It's called a network appliance. So all devices connect to the Orthonet product, and the Orthonet product connects to the business network, the data servers, and also the router which connects to the internet. And the purpose of the Orthonet ZTNA product is to prevent password theft, stop a phishing attack, and monitor for any potential attack. There are two products in the Orthonet lineup, both designed for smaller businesses and the small business budget. The A300, which is suitable for businesses maybe up to 15 employees. The A1000 for larger businesses, maybe up to 50 or 100 employees. There's no employee limit on these devices. You can add as many people as you want. The limitation is exactly what people are doing, how much network traffic they're generating, which determines how many people can be accessing the network. When the Orthonet ZTNA product is installed in a network, the diagram shows how this is done. All user devices connect to the Orthonet ZTNA product. Remote access via the firewall VPN service also connects to the Orthonet ZTNA product. Any IoT network devices also connect to the Orthonet ZTNA. An IoT, or Internet of Things network device, is any type of controller. That can be an AC controller, which needs an internet connection. It can be a printer. It can be a machine that is monitoring a production line. These types of devices are frequently attacked by criminals in order to get access because they don't have any type of cybersecurity protection. Finally, we have an exclusive administration port. So the administrator console is connected to that port. That port is not connected to the network for security reasons. It's called an out-of-band administration port. And so that is used to add users, remove users, set the rules for access, and that would be configured by a technical person, an IT service person. Finally, you can see that all user devices require at least two-factor authentication, both local devices and remote devices. Here are some of the features, a very brief overview of features of the Orthonet ZTNA product. It has a series of authentication rules, so we can determine how we're going to authenticate devices and how we are going to authenticate users. And that includes the two-factor and three-factor authentication. We have filtering rules, rules for the local network access and rules for accessing the internet. And we build these rules for devices and for users. So some users might have access to some parts of the network, other users access to different parts of the network. This method of controlling access limits our exposure to attacks. And so it's very important that we have very strong rules. Monitoring means that we're going to monitor what's happening with the network and alert any type of intrusion attempt. So if we see something that should not be happening, then we send a message to the supervisor or the administrator. We have various types of reports. We're going to provide a report of our authenticated users and approved devices. We're going to provide a report of unknown devices because this might be an attempt by an intruder to access the network. We also have a report for failed authentication attempts, which may be an attempt to use a stolen password. And so the administrator should be alerted about those attempts. And so the objective here is to prevent a stolen password being used to access the network, prevent a phishing attack installing a Trojan virus on the network, and also ensuring that any unauthorized attempt is alerted and followed up with immediately. There's a cloud management service for internet providers, IT service companies. So IT service companies can monitor one or more clients, and so the customers themselves don't have to monitor the networks. The businesses don't have to be concerned about that. An IT service provider can do that work for them. And because the Orthonet ZTNA monitors traffic constantly and sends out alerts, the IT service provider can see the alert and take action immediately. Orthonet ZTNA is pretty unique because there are no additional charges or costs. It's a product designed for smaller businesses and smaller business budgets. It's also a high performance product. And so it's going to address the needs of every smaller business. There are no additional costs after purchase, no software update fees. They're always free. There's free support, free manuals, free training videos, and other products might charge for that, might charge for software upgrades, might charge for support, or charge for training. The Ethernet ZTNA does not replace the network firewall. It complements the network firewall. The network firewall is essential to block any type of direct attack. The ZTNA prevents attacks that the firewall cannot block. The password theft, the phishing attack, and so it adds a layer of protection to the business network that the business network doesn't currently have. And so ZTNA is an essential technology for smaller businesses. Large businesses already have this installed, but smaller businesses don't. And smaller businesses need to take the precautions that ZTNA offers them. Ethernet has a series of advantages for businesses. First, it reduces the cost of cybersecurity. It's a very economical but powerful product. There are no additional fees, no service charges, and support and upgrades are free. It's a product that's easy to install. So any IT service person is able to install this product. The IT service person does not require specialist training as the person would installing products from other vendors like Cisco. And the products that Ethernet provides, like training videos and manuals, simplify the installation process. Ethernet ZTNA has 3 essential cybersecurity features to stop password theft, stop phishing attacks, and monitor the network for intrusion. And finally, the Ethernet cloud supports IT service providers who can then provide a managed service for the smaller businesses, which means that the smaller businesses don't have to worry about intrusions because the IT service provider can monitor those. Free support includes the manual shown there. It includes other types of information, data sheets. Via the website, there's online support, videos that are produced for social media, and training videos that are produced for both customers and IT service companies. Well, thank you for watching. We really appreciate your time in being with us. And if you have any questions, please contact us via our email address. And check out our other videos as well on cybersecurity that may be helpful to you.